All right. Last but not least, we have our candidates for mayor in the Democratic primary. I will let you all introduce yourselves. I'll start to my left with our current mayor, Vi Lyles, who is seeking her 5th term.
Thank you, everyone, for spending this time. I mean, I'm really impressed that you're staying this long and doing this and listening to us. I am Vi Lyles, and I am running for mayor of the city. And I am really glad to be able to see all of you tonight. And I understand Steve will give questions for us later, I expect. So, yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Delta Gwynn, and I am candidate for mayor of Charlotte. I'm born and raised in Charlotte, and my mother as well. My entire family actually is from Charlotte. We've seen it grow to a beautiful city with much credit to our current mayor. It's very beautiful. What I want to
Fear and change. It is time. Fear and change. It is time for those two things. When you see me, don't be afraid of change, because our city is looking for a change. It is looking for a different leadership. It is in need of having someone that when there are issues in our city where no one is afraid to be standing on the front line with you all. It is time for a mayor that's going to be in position that is not just seeking for development, but is seeking for change for people. This is a time right now in our city right now that we are desperately in need of change. Things have happened in our city that we all can applaud our current mayor for. But there's nothing wrong, because I tell people all the time, and my colleague sitting next to me, he'll say I stole this from him, but I always say it. Even Michael Jordan had to retire. So it is just time for us as individuals to recognize that, you know, we are moving forward in a different direction. I want to be the mayor that you can invite to your family functions. I want to be the mayor that not only that I am invited, but I want to host functions for you all to be a part of, because I need to know, in order to make this city the best city in the world, I need to hear from you. I can't do that in the government's building.
Hi, I'm Brendan K. McGinnis. I'm a Democratic candidate for mayor here of Charlotte. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and WFAE for giving us this opportunity, because a lot of times in these forums we only have 60 seconds, 90 seconds to answer these really complex questions, and so it's nice to have a little more time to answer those. And I'm going to take advantage of that by sharing a little bit more about myself and my background. I wasn't born in Charlotte like a lot of the other candidates have been. My family moved down here when I was 8 years old. My father worked at an Exxon gas station. He got promoted to general manager of the Matthews gas station down in downtown Matthews. So we moved Bondland Circle. It's over on the corner of W.T. Harris and Albemarle in East Charlotte, right across from Katie Skate Rink. It's not there anymore. It wasn't Section 8 at that point in time, but next door was Section 8. My parents worked hard because they wanted to give us a good education. So I actually went to St. Patrick's Catholic School in downtown Charlotte. So my father took the 30-minute drive every morning to drive me there, but of course, school gets out at 3 o'clock, he's working. He couldn't pick me up, so I had to walk as my classmates are getting picked up. I had to walk a couple blocks to the bus stop, take 3 exchanges, get dropped off near Eastland Mall, and then walk that last half mile to our house. We moved away. My parents worked 2 jobs apiece to put us through high school. One of those is my father working in a convenience store on the weekends. So, you know, I know hard work. I went into the Marines straight out of high school. Once I got out, I went to college, worked my way through college, working on a grill at Outback for 5 years. So you come to my house and know how to cook. Then once I got out of there, I worked on some campaigns. I started my own financial planning business from scratch, working 8-hour days, going in on Saturdays from 9 to 12, calling people. I built it up over 12 years, won multiple awards, and then I finally sold that practice, or actually passed it on to my partner to go into a small business. I was happy to do that because I wanted to support my wife and her career. And so now I'm actually a stay-at-home dad. COVID hit, real estate prices in Charlotte went up. We couldn't get that franchise in place. So now I take care of my 5-year-old daughter, my 3-year-old twins. I'm happy to do that. So I think that gives me a unique perspective. I think a lot of times people are looking for a mold of what a candidate should look like, how they should have come up through the ranks. What I'd say is don't discount me just because I don't fit that mold. I think I'm a visionary, and what that means is I'm able to see things that other people don't. So when you see that in my plan is I use a lot of things that are successful and expanding on those, but I'm also looking to bring innovative and new ideas to solve these old problems. If you're from Charlotte, you got old Charlotte problems, old Charlotte solutions. It's time for some new perspective. I think that's what this election is about.
Great, thank you. I'll come back to you. I want to ask about the city council vote last year to renovate Bank of America Stadium, $650 million. If you were on council then, how would you have voted, and were there things in the process that you would have done differently?
Well, I think that goes back to transparency. I think that's a big part of this election is transparency. I've covered each week of this election, I've covered at a certain phase of my plan. First week was transparency week. We need transparency in government. We have a loss of trust. So one of the things that as far as the Bank of America Stadium upgrades is there was enough community input. So part of my plan would be having a community accountability commission. Basically, that would be taking members from outside the community, diverse membership from multiple neighborhoods, to review any type of large settlement. So whether it's the Bank of America Stadium upgrades, the Jennings settlement, the dismissal of Patrick Baker. It's looking at those things and making sure that the city council is being accountable for that. What it also do is looking at New York City, they have the New York City checkbook. It's putting in place what I call the Charlotte checkbook, which means is having a real-time accounting of where every single dollar goes. So we had a council member, Mitchell, say, going to minority owners or women, female owners. Right now we have no way to account for that, or at least for the public to see that. If you have the Charlotte checkbook in place, people can see where every dollar is going, where those government contracts are going, and if they are hiring people from Charlotte, which we have no way to understand if that is happening right now.
Can you ask that one more time, please?
Just if you were on city council last year, how would you have voted on the decision to spend money to renovate Bank of America Stadium? And were there any things that you, as the process played out, that you would have done differently?
I mean, we're all going to, as you all have been sitting in here, the one word that you have been frequent to hear a lot is transparency. But the first thing that you must do before transparency is hold accountability for yourself. Every day that you get up and you look in the mirror at yourself, I am a servant of you all. So you all need to know what is happening behind the scenes. So before we get to transparency, there needs to be accountability for myself, because you have placed me in a position that you need to know certain things. There are certain things about that contract that I don't know because I wasn't in the room when it was created. But for me, as long as they're moving in a direction that is going to service the people, if people are involved where there are jobs being in place with the situation, then of course I am for it. But there are certain things in there that I don't know about that I could sit here and tell you that I'll probably say, nah, I'm against that right there. Because we're all going to continue to hear about the development of Charlotte, That's all we talk about. But the one concept and the one thing that we have forgotten is the people of Charlotte. When are we going to direct our attention back to the people? We are living in a time right now where there is just so much chaos throughout this country. And it is because we are witnessing things that are happening in this country because we are forgetting the people that place us in these positions. So for me, I would need to know more information. But the one thing that I will say that I know for a fact, that if it was against anything that was derogatory towards the people by not allowing them to be a part of the conversation, then I would tell you no. But if it's a situation where job development, growth of the city is there, then it's like a twofold question. But we must always remember and continue to remember you all, because you all are the ones that place the votes and the trust in us. There's three things that you must remember. That is trust, hope, and value. And we must get back to those three things in order to be an even greater city than what we are now.
Mr. Gwynn?
All right. So I hate to be the Monday morning quarterback and go back, no pun intended, but I would vote against it. I would be against it unless it was truly due to safety concerns or anything of that nature. It's just cosmetic. I would not be for it. We could try to find other ways to fund it. I would not have been for that.
Mayor Lyles?
Well, thank you, Jim and I really appreciate what you said about how we are trying to do this for people, and that stadium is about people. You think about the community that we're living in. Now, we have a football team that we all had a big parade coming down the city to say we need to have this football team. And that football team has given us lots of opportunities for other people to participate with new jobs. Think about it, you know, I remember the first season where kids were doing the soda fountains and all of that, and they were taking that money back to their schools and doing things with it. So when you have to make these decisions, when things are going to happen, you have to think, well, what started it? And we have a stadium that had to be repaired. And it was going to be repaired or we would lose the team. Now, all of us know that we're a big city now, and big cities usually have these kinds of sports teams, and that's what attracts people. I watch people drive up from all over North Carolina to spend hundreds of dollars in that stadium on a regular basis. And so we need to have a stadium that works, and that's why the council approved the upgrades, because you have to keep up with what's going on. Now, I think it's a choice, of course. I think that there are a lot of people that would say, like, why not do this, make it something else? But there was a decision that was made. We had a full council room of people speaking that they wanted to have the stadium done. And so that's how we landed where we are. And I think that's the appropriate thing. I do not want to lose a team, no matter whether it's the Hornets, whether it's the Panthers, or any of our sports teams. And think about this. They are now having soccer in there, and that for our Latino community is exceptional. They are out there every night that the soccer team is playing, and I believe that a city like ours deserves the opportunity to provide entertainment and other activities for people to live.
I'll start with Mr. Boyd for the next question. There was another tough vote this year about the contract workers at the airport, whether to send it to committee, an effort to improve the working conditions for the contract workers. And there was a lot of concern at the time on council that the city would be overstepping its boundaries. There might be interference from Raleigh. If you had been on council during that vote, what decision would you have made?
Once again, some of those things that are occurring within our city government, a lot of the things that we don't really and truly know about, the ins and outs, for us, what the contracts may say. But I'm gonna always go back and connect myself to if it was me in those shoes. If it was me in those shoes, I would tell you that I am for anything that's going to help people prosper in life. There is no way that we should have airport workers living out their cars, sleeping in hotels, and being homeless. It just doesn't make sense. When you walk through the airport, it is a beautiful airport. So why aren't we doing more things for them like they are doing for us? So I am all for anything that's going to help people gain in life, opposed to us taking from them in life. And that's what it seems to me that's what they've done, because they didn't push hard enough through legislation to find out ways, because we can be creative about so many things in life. But certain things, when there are tough questions that need to be asked and when there's tough decisions that need to be made, we have the tendency of running away from it. I'm an individual that wants to take the bull by the horns. And I want to look him in his eyes and tell him that he's wrong. And tell him that, no, we're not doing it like this. We need to do it another way, because it is affecting the people that are keeping the airport clean, that are doing all the things for you when you walk through that airport. So I am all for working with the unions, trying to figure out strategies and doing deeper research to find out what could be done and what we need to do in order to make sure that those individuals that are working in the airports are people that are taken care of, just as if it was me that was working in those airports. Because I worked for the city of Charlotte at Solid Waste, and I understood when we were underpaid at the time when I was working there. People don't know. I heard a gentleman say earlier about how when you're doing solid waste, I had a copperhead one time. I was picking up debris off the ground, and it was a copperhead that had babies in the bushes. And my face was like I am to this microphone. When I removed the debris, the copperhead jumped straight in my face to protect her young. So it's so many things that occur for our city workers and occur for the individuals that are at the airports who need our support. If we're the 14th largest city in the country, let's act like it. That's right. Let's make sure we're taking care of the people that are taking care of us when we coming through, when they're picking up our trash, when we're going through the airports. Let's act like we want to be the 12th largest city in the country.
Mr. Gwynn?
Can you repeat the question?
Just earlier this year, there was the city council took a tough controversial vote on whether to send a committee to look for ways to improve the working conditions and pay for contract workers at the airport. And if you were on council at the time, how would you have voted?
I would have voted yes, for sure, to make sure that they have a voice. I've only recently found out that some of the airline workers are sleeping in their cars in Charlotte. That's completely unacceptable. So I would definitely have been in favor of that, yes.
And Mayor Lyles?
I can certainly understand that it's very difficult to talk about people that are working every day and sleeping in cars. We have that uptown. We have it all across our city. And we had a specific issue around the airport personnel. One of the very first things that I think we have to understand is that there are some rules that we have to play by as a government. One of those is that we have to follow the work that's given to us, or the opportunities given to us out of Raleigh. So here we are in this situation that's very difficult, that you want to do something about, but you know what would happen if we went that path, took that path. And when you look at that path, what you would end up getting is the loss of the airport. It would mean that almost everyone out there would have some kind of loss because our state government has said that there is the law of North Carolina that you're not allowed to dictate businesses in their with their what they do with their employees. And if we had gone into that path, we would have probably been in Raleigh right now trying to figure out how we could do this any differently. Now, we have looked every way around this, and I understand it. I understand how difficult it is. But at the same time, we have to protect that airport as much as we can protect and do other things. Now, I think at some point, the union ought to actually apply for a union. And that would end that, because if you have a union, you could actually have bargaining, and we don't have that. They have made a decision that we should do this and shame the council. That's just flat out what it is. Do this, shame the council, instead of trying to do something that is actually progressive and it makes a difference. And I would always, every day of the week, I will make a difference.
I think that I understand that you're asking the question, but I think the wrong question's being asked. We keep talking about why the airline workers, the situation they're in, they're living in their car, they're all these things. Why? Because there's no other jobs. It's the best job they can get. Because it's the best job they can get. That's where the transportation goes, because we haven't put a transportation system that makes sense, and we haven't created jobs for people who don't hold a college degree. It's easy to go into these rooms with people, with these corporate big shots, and give them everything they want. That's not a plan. That is called being held for ransom. Whether it's the Panthers, whether it's American Airlines, Whether this transit bill where the excuse is, well, something is better than nothing, what that means is we don't have a contingency plan. The mayor has been going into these offices with these people for 8 years. They have contingency plans. If something happens at Bank of America, they've got a contingency plan. If something happens at Honeywell, they've got a contingency plan. Not having contingency plan for running a Charlotte that is now the 16th largest city is not a way to run the city. When we talk about being the 16th largest city, we keep acting like that's a bad thing. It's a good thing. We're not a steel town, Midwestern town where our population is declining. Our population is going up. We have a ratio, if you look at the people moving here compared to the tax dollars or the revenue growth we've had, we're at a 4.8. Other cities that are the same size of us, say Raleigh, are at a 4.5. So we're getting more tax dollars per person moving here than other cities, which means we have more revenue to grow. The problem comes down to, it's called the Gini Index, G-I-N-I. And we have a higher Gini Index, 0.507. The national average is 0.465. North Carolina is 0.465. It's an inequality measure. The top 20% of Charlotte earners have an average pay of $363,000. The bottom 20%, $18,000. That's the average for the bottom 20%. That's why we have problems. That's why we have airport workers sleeping in their cars, eating whatever. We're going to have to pay higher taxes because they're sleeping in their cars, and they're going to have a transit bill. Now they're going to pay extra for food delivered to them. That's why we have a problem. We have no contingency plan. That's a leadership issue. And that's what I do. I fill leadership voids.
Great. Thank you all very much. It's been a long night. Y'all have been a great audience. Thank y'all so much.
Can we get another hand for Steve Harrison for moderating tonight's panel conversations?
It's a long night.
And just a quick reminder, especially for all of you listening and watching online as well, the audio archive, video archive of tonight's forum will be available at WFAE.org and on the WFAE YouTube channel. And you can also hear highlights from tonight's conversation Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on Charlotte Talks with Mike Collins. Thanks for being here. Please drive safe.